but he's not tight end one, Dalton, and that is Tyler Warren from Penn State. What do you like about him?
Oh, wow. Narrow it down for me. I think in everything he does, it's just toughness.
Yeah.
It's like toughness personified, an A-plus competitor. And then you look at the athletic ability this year and the jump that he made under, and I think that's the biggest part too, is we talk about Drew Aller and the impact on him a lot with Andy Kotelnicki as the new offensive coordinator. This guy owes Andy Kotelnicki $1 million because, I mean, he must have gone to Penn State and seen this guy in spring ball and practice and gone, what were you doing before?
Yeah.
You have this freak sitting on your team and he wasn't the center of your offense. He immediately became the center of this offense. And I think for so many years, everybody goes, they look at a draft class and they go, oh, that guy's the next George Kittle. That guy's the next George Kittle. And it's not, because people just like throwing high-end comps out there to just create buzz for nothing. No, this is actually the one. This is actually the George Kittle when you talk about the balance of the receiving ability, the hands, the ability after the catch. The ability with the ball in his hands is just ridiculous, right? And then a pissed-off blocker. I mean, just and that's really the part that probably separates me from Warren and Loveland is two things, is the yards after catch and the ability to break tackles. And the blocking is the whole thing. You could argue he's both the best receiving tight end and the best blocking tight end in this class. I think between him and I have to go all the way down to Jackson Hawes to be like, oh, maybe that guy's a better blocker. And even that's how deep I have to get to. So, I think there's very few weaknesses when you look at his tape this year. I mean, and then you look at all the different things he can do. Lining up as a Wildcat quarterback.
Yep.
He caught a touchdown playing center. Mm-hmm. I mean, I never thought I could that was even possible to say, but it's just someone who became this year the ultimate weapon, even as a tight end and even in such a high-profile team like Penn State. He was their offense, whether it was the run game and getting behind him or it was the passing game and centering all the concepts around him, especially up the seam and what he can do even in the screen game and after the catch. This is somebody who can be an elite tight end very, very soon. I think the George Kittle comparisons are at least fair with him. And I personally, I think the more I looked at this, I think Tyler Warren's one of the 8 best players in this draft.
I would probably agree with that. I mean, he was unbelievable this past season. He actually kind of split time with Theo Johnson the year before, right? So this is a guy that was like, oh, okay, we'll see what he could do as a number 1 tight end. And he had one of the greatest years we've ever seen by a tight end. In fact, and since 2014, we have obviously numbers for all these tight ends in college football. Tyler Warren, in terms of our wins above average metric, how valuable you were in a season, he was the most valuable season we've ever seen by a tight end this past year. That includes Brock Bowers, who was the greatest tight end in college football history. Tyler Warren's year this year was more valuable than anything Brock Bowers has put up. First tight end in the Power 4 with 100 catches in a season or 1,000 yards in a season since Jay Samara. We mentioned him before, back in 2013 when he broke the record for tight ends. That was the last time a Power 4 tight end had 100 catches or 1,000 receiving yards in a season, 690 yards after the catch, and 311 receiving yards after contact. You mentioned before how good he is after the catch. Most by a Power 4 tight end in the PFF college era as well. And 218 rushing yards were 130 more than any other tight end in college football this year. This guy is just a weapon with the ball in his hands. Ideal size at 6'6", 261 pounds. He physically overpowers defenders with his receiver, and in the run game, he has flashes of dominance as a run blocker, and he's a really intelligent player, I thought, overall as well. 99.9 grade against zone coverage, a high IQ of how to find the soft spots there, 60% contested catch rate, and it was an issue in years past. He did lower his drop rate to 2.7% this year, before, as it was an issue, like I said before, in years past. Solid separator, I think, overall, but nothing special. Drops were an issue in his career before this, and this is kind of his first year of elite production in his 5th season. That's it, man. There's really nothing I could say about his 2024 tape that's really a negative in his game. Like I said, he's an okay separator overall, and drops in years past were an issue. That's it, really. I mean, he's got elite production, ideal size. He's a menace after the catch, showed strong hands this past year, and as dominant flashes as a run blocker, he's an ideal inline tight end and worthy of a top 10 to 15 pick. I mean, you said George Kittle. I saw some Dallas Goedert in his tape as well. I think this guy could be one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah, I think the only things I have is he could work on his first step a little bit, both as a receiver and as a blocker. There's kind of a false step in his run blocking that gets him out of position just a little bit. And for the most part, if you look at a lot of his negatively graded blocks, it's just that he's going for kill shots.
Yeah.
It's just understand when to go for the kill shots, and you'll be fine. I think when you see him really lock in, there's the famous block against SMU where he about put somebody in the stands, right? I think there was
that's like a Michael Oher blindside block almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of his weaknesses right now, you look at him and you go, they're coachable. Just, tone it down once in a while as a run blocker so you're not out of control. And then again, just working on just some footwork things, just some little details. But at Warren, I think especially doing it at such a high volume, and we talked about with Penn State all year, who was the other passing game weapons? Nothing.
Yep.
He was the guy. I go back to that USC game when he went crazy. Was it 224 yards or whatever?
Yeah, tight end record. He had like 17 catches that game.
You knew he was getting the ball, and they were just finding 100 different ways to get it to him, and he was still the most dominant player on the field. So Tyler Warren, I mean, the year he had, well-deserving, like you said, of a top 15 pick. Very well could be a top 10 pick. Some have mocked him even as high as 7 to the Jets, which I think makes sense considering the lack of tight end production that they've had the last couple of years. But no, he really became a special player this year. And credit, again, I've been giving him credit all year, but credit to Andy Kotelnicki for figuring out how talented this guy is and how to use him.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.